What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to Misplayed Magic, the only Magic the Gathering YouTube channel doing giveaways based on how I draft. You'll see up on the screen here, if I get 0 wins, I'm giving away a collector pack. All the way down to 7 wins, I'm giving away a draft to one of you. All you have to do to claim this is like this video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment down below on what you would have done differently. Based on my last video, you guys liked when I had a challenge as part of the draft, so today we're introducing the Wheel of Chaos, where I'm going to be spinning this wheel of 24 different challenges. I'm going to have to complete that on my way on this draft here. So let's go ahead, let's give it a spin, and let's see what we get. Alright, so the way the all gas no brakes challenge works is I have to pick cards with 1, 2, or 3 in their mana value. I can't take anything that's 4 mana or greater, so we're going to try to draft a hyper aggressive deck and we'll see how it goes today. Let's go ahead and hop into it. Alright, jumping into this first pack here. Looks like we do have a couple cards that are mana value 3 or less that I actually like a decent amount. So we could go with the Narset Jeskai Waymaster. My only fear is if we're playing a super hyper aggressive deck, I think playing 3 colors is probably not going to make the most sense. I do like the Dalkovan Pack Beasts quite a bit if we end up in a super aggressive red-white deck. So that's definitely on the table as a consideration. We can't take the Runescale Stormbreed, it costs 4 mana. We could take a Mardu Monument if we wanted to get some land fixing. But again, I don't think for this challenge we want to end up going 3 colors. We could have taken Osseous Exhale as a fine removal spell. Dragonstorm Globe is good, but wouldn't make much sense because we wouldn't be casting any big dragons with this. So I do think we're going to start out by going with a Dalkovan Pack Beasts, which will be the top of our curve at 3 mana. We'll try it out here and see what else we can pick up. Moving on into this second pack, we've got a couple of really good considerations. So we can take the Sun Pearl Kirin. It's a 2 mana creature. It is pretty good. It's got flying, and when it enters, we return we could return a token from the Dalkovan Pack Beasts and draw a card, or we could save a creature that we have. So that could be good. We also could pick out of this pack a Molten Exhale as a really solid removal spell, or we could take the land fixing and the Windscarred Crag. Rescue Leopard I'm not a humongous fan of in this type of deck. I actually am going to take a Molten Exhale here as a really strong removal spell, and we'll move into sort of a Boros Shell here early and hope that not everybody else is going to be doing that as well. Moving on into our third pick here. This challenge could be tough, so we could take a Twin Bolt as a fine removal spell. We could take an Unsparing Bolt Caster as a decent enough 3 mana creature. We could take a Tempest Hawk. I think the world where we get like 3, 4, 5 of these actually might be how we take over games. But I'm not positive that's strong enough here. And then we could take an Evolving Wilds or a Swiftwater Cliffs for the fixing. I am going to take a Speculative Tempest Hawk. I'm going to put it in the sideboard. I don't think we're going to end up playing it here. But in the potential that we pick up a bunch of other Tempest Hawks, it could be really strong. Moving on into our fourth pick here, I would love to take a Bone Cairn Butcher, but it is too expensive, so we are not allowed to take it here. We could take a Caustic Exhale as a really solid removal spell. We could take a Sun Pearl Kirin here as a decent 2 mana play, but I am actually eyeing the Fortress Kinguard. I think that this is going to be our best bet in terms of a 2 mana aggressive play. We could take a Nomad Outpost, but I think our best bet is going to be just running our opponents over early and quickly. So we're going to take the Fortress Kinguard here. Moving on into our fifth pick. There's a lot of 2 mana cards here. 1 and 2 mana cards. Could take a Worthy Cost as a decent enough removal spell. Could take an Alchemist's Assistant. But I'm actually eyeing the Bearer of Glory. I know you all know that I like this card quite a bit. I like the fact that we are not going to be casting any spells that are 4 or 5 mana. So having this activated ability in this card is going to be really good for us to bolster our board and do something with our mana late. So I'm more than happy picking up a Bearer of Glory here and our hyper aggressive start. Moving on now into our sixth pick. We could take a Dragon's Prey, but we can't take a Breaching Dragonstorm. I do think blue might be relatively open. This might be a side that Jeskai specifically is somewhat open, but I think that we're just going to stay as open as we possibly can here with our start. So I'm between either an Osseous Exhale or a Rebellious Strike for a 2-mana play. I'm going to take the Exhale. I think it's going to be really critical that we have removal spells in hand, so that we can just try and run our opponents over as quickly as possible. So I'm going to pick the Osseous Exhale here. Now moving on into our 7th pick. I do think we're going to take another Bearer of Glory. I don't see us switching lanes here. Seize Opportunity is definitely a consideration. We do right now have a couple of good creatures, but I think having another Bearer of Glory makes the most sense for us. Now moving on into our 8th pick, we could take a Rebellious Strike as a totally fine combat trick. It also works super well with the Bearer of Glory, or we could take something like a Wild Ride for a hyper-aggressive deck. I think for me, I'm more interested right now in the Rebellious Strike, and we will see what else we can pick up. So moving on into our 9th pick, we could take a Skirmish Rhino. It is 3 mana. I don't think that's the route we're going to want to be going. For me, I'm more interested in a card like Wild Ride that is super aggressive, can hopefully give a card haste, and we'll see what else we can pick up here. Moving on into our 10th pick, we could pick up a Rescue Leopard or some mana fixing here. I'm going to go with the Rescue Leopard as a good top end of our curve. Moving on to our 11th pick, I will pick up a Twin Bolt. I just don't like the Unsparing Boltcaster too much, and the Twin Bolts can situationally be alright. Here, we can only pick the Bellringer or the Bloodflies, neither of which I like too much. We'll take a Bellringer. Here we'll pick up a Fire Inform as a totally fine combat trick as we move into this next pack. Oh my goodness! What a crazy pack. So I have not gotten to play with the Urini yet on the channel, and sadly we cannot take it. Pain. Pain.
My disappointment is immeasurable.
I will say though, Kori Steelcutter is great. This is the exact kind of card we kind of need in this deck for a hyper-aggressive deck. I'm so sad we can't pick this. But that's okay. Kori Steelcutter is really great. We're going to have a great time with this card. Great 2-mana play. Hopefully it can buff up our board, and we can do a lot of double spelling, take advantage of those prowess tokens, and run over our opponents here. Equilibrium Adept is also great, but it's 4 mana. We can't take it. Salt Road Skirmish is great. 4 mana. We can't take it. And yeah, that's about it. Crazy. 3 rare pack here. Would love to take a Urini, but we are going to take the Kori Steelcutter, which is also a fantastic card. Moving on into our 2nd pick here, I am really excited to see a Duty Beyond Death. This is kind of exactly the card that we need if we're going to have a chance to run our opponents over early. If we have something like the Dalkoan Pack Beasts where we can sacrifice one of the creatures and then we can give everything else indestructible, that's going to feel pretty fantastic. So more than happy picking up a Duty Beyond Death here. Moving on into our 3rd pick, we could take a Sunset Strike Master, which is probably going to be the pick here. It's a really solid 2-mana play, and then it will help us to be able to double spell by helping us ramp our mana. We cannot take a Dragonback Lancer or a Narset's Rebuke, unfortunately. We could take another Fire Inform, but I think we're more than happy picking up the Sunset Strike Master here. Uh-oh. Alright, we have a pack where we are pretty dead. So we can take an Unrooted Ancestor, which I just don't like too much. The Formation Breaker is a decent enough 2-mana play if we were in green. I don't think we're going to be. We can't take either of these red or white cards because they're both 4 or 5 mana. So unfortunately, we kind of have a dead pick here. I think the odds of us going Jeskai are higher than us going into green. So I'm going to take another Highspire Bellringer here, and we'll see if we end up playing it. Moving on into our 5th pick, we're back with a couple good picks. Shock Brigade is a fantastic 2-drop, and then the Mardu Devotee is a great 1-drop. I think the Devotee is better than the Shock Brigade, although both are really strong. We don't have any 1-drops, so we're going to take the Mardu Devotee here. Moving on into our 6th pick, we've got a couple of fantastic considerations. So we could go with the Zergo's Vanguard, where we're gaining power equal to the number of creatures we control. It is a mobilize effect, but I actually love the Frontline Rush as a good, cheap spell, and I think it allows us to potentially kind of surprise our opponents with lethal by pumping one of our creatures after blockers. So we're going to take the Frontline Rush here, and hopefully that will help us with our aggressive plays. Moving on into our 7th pick. We don't have a ton of 3 mana creatures, so I think we're more than happy picking up a Poised Practitioner at the top end of our curve here, over something like a Rebellious Strike, which we already have one of. So that's going to be our pick here. Moving on into our 8th pick. It's a bit of a dead pick here as well. I don't think we want any of these blue cards, but we will take a Twin Bolt. There is a chance that we end up playing that in our aggressively slanted deck here. Moving on into our 9th pick, we sadly cannot take the Equilibrium Adept. That would be a really fantastic addition into this deck, but we're going to end up picking up the Fire Rim form as a decent combat trick, and one that we might end up playing. Moving on into our 10th pick, we could pick up a Worthy Cost. We only have 2 real removal spells here. We do technically have some Twin Bolts as well that might be able to get in, but we're going to take a Lightfoot Technique and hopefully just combat trick our way to a victory here. Moving on into our 11th pick. Can't take the Lancer, unfortunately, so we're stuck taking another Fire Rim form. I think 3 of those is a bit aggressive. This is the pack that was dead earlier. I'm going to have to take a card out of it. We cannot play it. I wish we could play this Summit Intimidator, but we cannot. Here we'll take another Bloodflies. I think we're not going to end up playing that. And a Cruel Truths. Moving on into our 3rd pack, our first pick here. So I would love War Effort. I would love it. It's 4 mana. We cannot take the War Effort here. It would be so good on this early and quick Boros start. Looking at our deck, we have a ton of 2 mana plays, but we don't have a ton of 2 mana creatures. So in this last pack, we kind of do want to make sure that we are taking 2 mana creatures. That being said, I think that having the Dalkovan Encampment in our deck is going to give us the ability to sink our mana into something late, which is going to feel really strong. Moving on into our 2nd pick here. It's between either a Dalkovan Pack Beasts or Sarkhan's going to be a vanilla 2/2. So I don't think we want that. Dalkovan Pack Beast is good. We could take an Osseous Exhale here, but I think we're going to take the Pack Beasts as a really solid top end of our curve here. Moving on into our 3rd pick, I think we're more than happy picking up a Channeled Dragonfire. We are going to be a little bit short on creatures currently, so we are going to want to pick up as many creatures as we can, but Channeled Dragonfire is good here. Moving on into our 4th pick, we'll pick up another Osseous Exhale as a good removal spell, and then hopefully we can get a couple more 2 and 3 drops here. So Devoted Duelist is fantastic as a 2-drop. We can also be flurrying with that, so happy with that pickup here. Our creature count, we're currently sitting at 10, which is not a bunch, which is not fantastic, but we're going to try and make it work here. Moving on into our 6th pick, we can't really take any of these cards. We'll take a Wingblade Disciple in the event that we end up going Jeskai. We've got a couple of Jeskai cards. Moving on into this 7th pick, I'm going to allow us. I'm not picking the Riling Dawnbreaker right here. I'm picking a Signaling Roar. There's no chance we cast the Dawnbreaker, but I think us being able to cast specifically the Roar is going to give us the ability to kind of fill our 2-drop slot here. Moving on into our 8th pick, I actually will take a Reverberating Summons. I think if we end up casting a couple of spells a turn, this could be good, and there's nothing else in the pack that I really want. We could pick up a Reigning Victor. Maybe that's actually going to be a better play. We're going to take the Reigning Victor. Okay, awesome. Here we're more than happy taking another Bearer of Glory, shoring up our 2-drop slot. Here we'll take a Seize Opportunity. I don't think we're going to play it. Moving on into our 11th pick. I don't think we're going to do the Tempest Hawk thing. I know I've seen a couple in this last round. We'll take another Reigning Victor. I don't think we're going to end up playing that or another Seize Opportunity, but we'll see. You never know. So this is our draft for our challenge today of we can only take creatures with mana value 1, 2, cards, mana value 1, 2, or 3 in a hyper aggressive deck. We ended up going with a Boros deck here. I'm going to go in and make a couple of cuts. Alright, so here is the deck we are going with today. It is a meme attack. We don't have a ton of creatures, which might be our Achilles heel in this draft. We're only rocking with 12 in what's supposed to be a hyper aggressive deck. So hopefully the ones that we do have out there can get the job done. We do have a lot of decent removal spells. We have some decent combat tricks that can hopefully keep our creatures alive. And we're going to jump into it here. We're only playing 15 lands, so hopefully we can get some aggressive starts out there and we can get a couple wins. And remember, if I get 0 wins in this draft, I'm giving away a collector booster pack. It's like 38 bucks on TCG Player right now. So go ahead, like this video, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment down below on how you think this draft went, and you could possibly be getting a collector booster pack today. Let's go ahead and jump into it. Alright, jumping into this first pack, our opponent goes first, but I think we're actually more than happy with this. So we're going to keep this 7. I think we're going to start by playing out a Devoted Duelist, and then the turn after we can play the Bearer of Glory and give it haste, which I think is going to feel decent enough. So I'm going to go with that route. I think if they want to trade with us, it's okay. Next turn, we can potentially get a good attack with the Bearer of Glory, and if they don't, I think we're also happy with that. So, like, ideally, we want them to attack us with the Jeskai Devotee and not play anything too crazy. Nightblade Brigade is pretty good. I do think we're still just going to play the Bearer of Glory and then give it haste. So we'll do that here. We'll still ping our opponent for 1 with the Devoted Duelist. And then getting in for 5 seems decent enough. We'll see if they chump block. They will not. Then next turn we can go Pack Beasts. And then potentially, I think the goal is we try and frontline rush them after blocks to try and get lethal with one of our creatures here. A lifelinker is not exactly what we wanted to see here. I think that we are more than happy going to combat first and attacking with the Bearer of Glory. Drawing the Rebellious Strike will allow us to hopefully pick off one of their creatures. So I'm going to play the Rebellious Strike here. And that's a pretty fun draw in the Dalkoven encampment. And then I actually... I don't think we want to make 2/1/1s. We're just going to end our turn here. Next turn, we'll play out the encampment. We'll be able to play the Pack Beasts and then potentially frontline rush if we need to. I like that they are continuing to attack here. They are going to get 2 life back, but hopefully our counter attack can be decent. So they have a Zergo's Vanguard, which is good. We are just going to play out our Dalkoven encampment, and then we are going to... We're just going to play the Pack Beasts, and we're going to hold up an Osseous Exile for their turn. I assume they're going to attack with the Vanguard, so we are not super interested in attacking here. And then next turn, potentially, we'll get our bigger attack in. So if we draw an untapped land next turn, we could potentially go Dalkoven Encampment into Frontline Rush just for maximum attacks. I would assume they have a removal spell. They haven't played one yet, so they might take out our Pack Beasts here. Looks like they're going to play an Embermouth Sentinel, which is fine. So they're not going to attack with the Zergo's Vanguard, which is unfortunate. We maybe should have attacked the last turn. So we'll block like this. Do we want to Osseous Exhale this? Maybe. Let's do it. I think we're banking on the game being over sooner rather than later. So let's just get rid of it. Channeled Dragonfire is quite interesting. So I do think we're going to start by attacking. We'll see how they block. If they block in a way that is not super aggressive, I think we continue to kind of hold off this turn and then make our huge attack next turn with the frontline rush. It's like here, I think picking off the Zergo's Vanguard would be pretty advantageous for us. It'll just allow us next turn to have a pretty insane attack back. So here I do think we're more than happy with this exchange of taking out the Zergo's Vanguard. And then we are going to lose our Devoted Duelist, sadly, this way. I guess if we want to frontline rush now, we'd be doing 9 damage, which feels pretty good. We'll do 10 because we do it with a Devoted Duelist. Let's go for it. And then we'll Channeled Dragonfire either the Devotee or the opponent next turn. So hopefully it's enough. We can also Channel Dragonfire twice. We'll have to get to 7 mana. But if they don't have any more life gain, I think that bodes well for us. Yeah, I think that was right pumping there. I think we just start by going to combat. If they have like an Osseous Exhale and a dragon, they'll gain some life and they'll be able to stabilize a little bit, but I think this gives us our best chance of winning here. They kind of have to block the 1/1s. So we are going to, this is going to be weird. I'm actually not going to pump because then we have no mana to do anything. I'm actually going to put a Fire Rim Form on one of the tokens as kind of our first way of presenting lethal. If they do something about that, they're still taking the 2 here, and then we can channel Dragonfire. So it kind of gives us the opportunity to win a couple of different ways here. Okay, so that was kind of worst case scenario. Our opponent is back up to 3. So maybe we should have just pumped the entire board. I did not have them having the Purging Stormbrood there. So we could channel Dragonfire our opponent, which would not feel great. But it's kind of all we can do. And then hopefully we'll eventually get to 7 mana and be able to cast it again. So maybe we should have just pumped the entire board. We would have kept our Bearer of Glory alive. Yeah, it's probably a misplay. I did not have them having a lifelink combat trick there, but it is what it is. They're down to 1. Hopefully we can draw something. Any creature could help us do it, because we could harmonize with it with the channel Dragonfire. And then they do the Stormbrood again?
And I've decided that I want to die.
Really? Really, though? So they're back to 5. We're now at 8. That's tough. And we are just not drawing any creatures here. Oh, that's so brutal. Not sure why they're... Well, I guess that makes sense. They're trying to go get a island. Oh, this is a brutal game 1 loss. Brutal. So looking back at it, I should have just pumped the board. That's a huge mistake. Because they obviously had that card that helped them out. We would have been able to save our Dalkovan Pack Beast, and we certainly would have won. So that was some misplayed magic there. We're going to concede here, and then hopefully we can try and get him in the next one. Alright, hopping into this next one. We go first. It's a little bit slow, but I do think we're going to keep it. We're putting a lot of our chips in the Dalkovan Pack Beasts. But hopefully we can draw a mountain. Also, Bearer of Glory is a fantastic draw here. So we'll play that this turn. Then next turn we'll be able to attack with it with the Rebellious Strike in hand. So that feels decent enough. Looks like our opponent has got a bit of a slower start here, but in these colors they probably do have a decent amount of removal spells. So we'll start by attacking, and we will play out our Pack Beast here. Looks like they're going to play an Anafinza, which is decent enough. I think we're more than happy trading with the Anafinza with our Bearer of Glory. If they want to block it, I think we're okay with that. And then we're just going to play out our other Dalkovan Pack Beasts. 2 Pack Beasts in a Dream. Drawing a mountain would be good, so we can cast either of our removal spells, but this might get dodgy here early if we can't get rid of the Trade Route Envoy. So here we will just attack everywhere. Osseous Exhale is a pretty fantastic draw. And then we are going to get hyper aggressive here with our tokens. And hopefully we can start drawing a mountain. And if not, we've got 6 mobilized tokens coming out next turn. I would assume they have a removal spell here. So we're banking on 1 of the Pack Beasts being alive. These are some hilarious games here early. Yeah. Double removal spell would be tough. Temur Monument is decent. A mountain would be a fantastic draw here. Martyr Devotee is great. So let's play the Devotee. We'll scry. We'll pick up 1 mountain, so next turn we can play the Fire Rim and the Twin Bolt. And then we'll play our Duelist. And then we'll attack for 5. They're down to 2. So next turn we can Twin Bolt if they don't gain any life. I know last game they gained a bunch of life, which was bad for us. Alright, we get there in game 2. The hyper-aggressive deck, the Marta Diva to you, is a clutch top deck. We get there in game 2. We are now 1-1. Alright, hopping into our next one here. We do have our Bearer of Glory and our Signaling Roar. This is not a Riling Dawnbreaker in hand. We also have our colors and some removal spells, so we're more than happy keeping this starting hand here. And hopefully our opponent is not also in a aggressively slanted deck. So I think we're more than happy playing out our Bearer of Glory. Duty Beyond Death is a pretty fun draw. So next turn, looks like our Bearer of Glory is getting Caustic Exhaled. Yep. Next turn we'll probably just play out the Dalkovan Pack Beasts, but then after that we can potentially get some fun attacks in with the Duty Beyond Death. I'm a little nervous that they're holding up a removal spell, but it's not entirely something we can just play around here. Alright, so the Pack Beasts get online, which is huge. They are going to detain it, and now we're kind of seeing the worst case scenario for our deck. I do think we're interested in playing the Poise Practitioner first, so that next turn we can go Signaling Roar into like Fire Rim form. We'll get to Scry and make it into a 3/4. Kintree Nurturer is decent. They are going to make it into a 3/2, which we're actually pretty excited about because we can just pick it off with the Twin Bolt here. Quarry Steel Cutter is great. Okay, we can do this. We can totally do this. So next turn we can go Quarry Steel Cutter into like Fire Rim form. We'll make a 1/1 with Prowess. Sidisi is pretty bad. The Bodyguard is decent enough. So I think we're going to start by playing the Quarry Steel Cutter. We're going to go to combat and attack everywhere. And then we're going to play our Fire Rim form and hopefully pick off something that they have here, while also making a 1/1 with Prowess. And then turn after, we can possibly go Molten Exhale into Duty Beyond Death. Would feel pretty fantastic here. We do not want that mountain. Alright, we are holding on here. Next turn, we could go potentially Molten Exhale into Duty Beyond Death, which would feel pretty strong. Salt Roads, why would they not take out the Practitioner? Unless they probably have another removal spell for the Practitioner. Yep. Okay. That's pretty good. So now we can't really cast our Duty Beyond Death, which is unfortunate. We will block one of these creatures. So our opponent did a good job resetting there, and then it looks like they'll probably use the Sidisi to start getting back some value. So I actually am going to play the Molten Exhale here, just so they don't get any value back. And then we're going to be in a top deck war. My hope is that we can cast something else with the Duty Beyond Death, and we can make another 1/1 token with the Quarry Steel Cutter. Hopefully our opponent is drawing some lands here and not removal spells. Looks like we're going to top a Plains as well. Also, like Dalkovan Encampment would be good in terms of a land draw. The Rescue Leopard is pretty good here. We're going to attack with the token, and then if they try to kill the Rescue Leopard on our turn, the goal is we Duty Beyond Death it, sack the token, make another token, and attach it there. So we'll see what our opponent does here. I do think we're interested in keeping the Rescue Leopard alive, just because like a 5/3 with trample is decent enough. So here we pull the Sunset Strike Master. I do think we start by playing it here. And then I'm going to equip it like this. And then we will attack everywhere. Alright, we get there in the next one as well. So we are now 2-1 with this hyper-aggressive, fun deck. Alright, our opponent goes first here. We are going to keep this. I like that we have both of our colors and some solid 2-drops. I think drawing a land is actually pretty decent for our deck here. So hopefully in our first couple of draw steps we can draw one of our lands. There's one. I think we're going to start with the Bearer of Glory. There's just a higher chance that this card will actually be able to attack next turn. And then I do think we're going to go into the Poise Practitioner next turn, so that after that we can play the Fortress Kinguard, and then we can play the Channel Dragonfire and double spell and get our Scry on. So I'm going to start by attacking here. And then we'll play out our Poise Practitioner. I will say a deck that is starting out in the Sultai colors is scary to look at. They've got a ton of cards and typically will have some higher value plays here. Looks like they have some sort of removal spell. Yep. Disruptor Stormbrood is quite good here. So I do think we want to play the Rescue Leopard. I'm going to attack first. Actually, I think we're just going to play out the Fortress Kinguard and Channel Dragonfire, the Krumar Initiate. Just because I think this allows us to still potentially pick off the Appraiser with a Twin Bolt, and then eventually we'll be able to start pumping our entire board with the Bearer of Glory. So Teyval is really good. We are going to attempt to attack everywhere and pick it off with an Osseous Exhale.
What is he doing?
He's beginning to believe.
You know what? I actually care about this. Let's do it like that. Wow. All right. We have life. We have life. We're seeing the board. I mean, this is just not how people thought this set would get played, with me playing an Osseous Exhale into a Twin Bolt. It's a pretty fun combo. Don't know if it'll be enough here. We'll see. I think us being able to Dalkovan Encampment next turn. Looks like they have unending. Ooh. Okay, so they're actually going to tap that down. That's interesting for us. We're probably just going to go with the Pack Beast here. We'll start by attacking. But us going Pack Beast allows us to have our chance for our biggest attack next turn. Because we can go Bearer of Glory, untap land. We can play Bearer of Glory into Dalkovan Encampment. And hopefully do some damage that way. Hollow Merc Siege. We'll see if they want to draw cards or put counters on the Attune Hunter. I'd assume they want to draw cards here. Yep. They've got a really great Sultai deck, it looks like, with the Teyval. If they had kept that alive, they could have been casting Delve, drawing cards, putting counters on the Attune Hunter. Meanwhile, we've got some Rescue Leopards and Bearers of Glory. So I do think we're just going to attempt to take out the Attuned Hunter here. I think they've got a exhale, so they'll probably take out the Dalkovan Pack Beasts before this resolves. If it resolves, we're in a solid spot. Cool. So they are going to Dragon's Prey our Dalkovan Pack Beasts, which is okay, because now we can go Bearer of Glory. And then next turn, we've got a pretty big attack with the Dalkovan Encampment. So they do get to draw a card with the Wayfarer, which is quite strong. Oh no! Awakening Undead is such a good draw. Such a good draw. I do think we're interested in just attacking. And then pump in the squad here. And then hopefully this is enough to get it done. It's going to be close. Alright, we get there again. Maybe this deck is good. Alright, hopping into this next one. Our opponent goes first again, but I actually like this hand. We're going to start with the encampment. Actually, we're going to start with the Devotee, so it blocks their Stadium Headliner. And then hopefully we can scry back some lands here. I would like both of those. I do think we want the Duelist first. Looks like our opponent is also in an aggressively slanted deck. They might have cards with mana value more than 3 in their deck, though. So definitely something we have to consider. I think we're going to play the Duelist and just attack with everything. I think it's okay if we get the Headliner off of the board, if they want to trade with our Duelist. They don't. So we'll take a little bit of an attack back here. Voice Practitioner is decent. I do think we're just interested in playing out our Pack Beasts, and then next turn we can double spell playing the Bearer of Glory pre-combat, and then playing the Fire Inform. I think by us doing this too, it kind of lowers their senses to us having the combat trick, so there's the potential that we could get them with the Fire Inform. Ooh, Quarry Steelcutter is also fantastic. So I think we're going to go Quarry Steelcutter, and then we're going to go that into the Fire Inform here. So we are going to attack with the Duelist. And if they don't want to block, I'm fine playing our Bearer of Glory in our second main phase and still making that 1/1 Monk with Prowess. Fine by me. And then next turn, untap land, we could pump the entire squad, or we can go Pack Beasts into a Fire Inform. So they've got a Molten Exhale, which is good, but we have another Dalkovan Pack Beasts. They couldn't stop us even if they stopped us. They're getting some good value here, I will say. Board is back kind of stabilized. I actually think their side might be a little bit better than ours. So I think we're totally fine taking this attack. Just knowing what we know. Ooh, Twin Bolt is crazy. Let's do that. It's just so strong. And then if we go to combat, and we attack here and here and here, I think we're fine sacking a Mardu Devotee. And I'm actually going to keep... no, I'm going to cast the Fire Rim Form here. It just maximizes our damage. I could have done it before combat, but I think doing it like this allows us to get in for the most damage. So our opponent's down to 4. And then we can block pretty aggressively. Next turn we can play the... We can use the Dalkovan Encampment to get a couple more 1/1s. We'll see what our opponent has in store for us here. I also think just having a 4/1 attacking up against a Poise Practitioner Zergo's Vanguard is going to be pretty decent. Especially if we can pump it with a Bearer of Glory if we draw an untapped land. Underfoot Underdogs is really good for stabilizing the board. So, if we attack everywhere, I think that we're just interested in playing out the Dalkovan Pack Beasts and sadly taking a turn off. I think we'll actually attack with a Duelist. They can just trade with a token. Yeah, I think we're just going to take a turn off here, and then next turn, untap land, we could pump the entire squad with the Bearer of Glory, or we can use the Dalkovan Encampment to potentially swing for lethal here. They do have action in their hand. Okay, they have 1 land. Presumably their other 2 cards are decent here. I would have liked to pick up an Underfoot Underdogs. I don't think we saw one, which is kind of crazy. Looks like they're going to tap down our Pack Beasts, which is good. They just got another land. So we did draw our untapped land, which I think lets us attack a little bit aggressively. I think I'm still just going to attack with the Devoted Duelist. And if they block with the token, I'm fine pumping just to get rid of the token, honestly. Because I think this match, it's so critical that we just have the most bodies, because when we use the Dalkovan Encampment, it's going to allow us to really go wide, and we only have to punch in 4 more damage. So I think it's okay using our turn to get rid of their token here. And hopefully they just keep drawing lands. Alright, we get there again. Let's go. Alright, hopping into this next one. Our opponent goes first, but I like this hand a decent amount. I think we're probably going to go with the Strike Master as our first play here, just because it allows us to potentially cast another spell with the Corey Steel Cutter. So any untapped land here, we can play the Cutter into a Bearer of Glory. Never mind, we cannot do that.
Perfect!
Champion of Doosan is good. I think we'll just play out a Bearer of Glory here. Hopefully we can block that decently enough. Alright. So it might be worth Molten Exiling that next turn, honestly. Might Osseous Exile it on their turn. I think we're just going to do the Osseous Exile route. We'll get 2 life back. We'll show that we have a Ryland Dawnbreaker. It doesn't count as a card in our deck, technically, because it's got 5 mana. But we'll just show that, you know, we have a Signaling Roar. Snakeskin Veil was like the big bummer there if they'd had that, but they don't, which is good. I think untap land, we just go seize opportunity. Just to try and get some more lands here. Ooh, that's pretty good. I think we're just going to get rid of it. It shrinks their Formation Breaker back into a 2/1, and now they're kind of, hopefully, running out of gas. Enoch Wayfarer is good. I kind of want them to go get a land here. If they can do the counter route, they're going to have a 3-3 and a 2-2. All right, nice. I think that was a mistake by them. Unless they have like something they really want to cast in their hand. Obviously, it would not be a mistake then. So here I really want to go get lands. I think if we get lands, we have a really good chance to double spell the turn after and stabilize. Wow, and we can go into the Motu T. That's fantastic. That was so good. So scrying now, we actually don't need any lands. Maybe we'll keep one just cuz. That feels so greedy. But now we can go Quarry Steelcutter next turn into Bearer of Glory, and hopefully we're stabilizing a bit there. This deck is not supposed to be playing from behind, but here we are. So they are not attacking, which is so weird to me. We're going to start with the cutter here. And then we're just going to play our Bearer of Glory. And then turn after this, we can start attacking, potentially try and get them with a Rebellious Strike or an Osseous Exhale. I'd love to cast this as a dragon, but we won't do it. This is a Signaling Roar, obviously. So I think we're more than fine taking 3 here. Ooh, that's really good. That's really good, especially with that lifelink ability. It's just going to be so strong. So I do think that we're going to do this just to get as aggressively as we can. And then, depending on how they block, we can either play the Rebellious Strike or we can play the Osseous Exhale next turn on their Skirmish Rhino, which is, I think, what we're going to do. Yep. If they make their Skirmish Rhino giant, that's kind of worst case scenario. But I think they'll spread it out a little bit. Yeah, okay, that's good. So now we can Osseous Exhale their Skirmish Rhino, which I think feels pretty solid for us. But definitely in a tough spot here. Alright, this guy's turned into a 3-3, which is quite nice. We'll attempt to block like this. What's nice too is like they only have a counter on one thing now, so like us taking that out is pretty strong. Because it makes their Formation Breaker into a 2-1. And then I do think we're just interested in making a 2-2 and flurrying here. I'm going to hold back the Mardu Devotee as a blocker. And then hopefully next turn we can do something into a Rebellious Strike and just continue building out our board as much as we can. I don't know if they're going to get aggressive in attack here. We'll see. I think we're fine blocking. Saltroad Pack Beast is great. Oh, no! Yathan Roadwatcher is so good with the Rhino. Ugh. Ugh. That's such a good draw for them. I don't know if we can get this one. That's tough. Pain. Just played a 4-3, a 3-3, and a 3-4. Alright. We'll see what we can do. So I think we're fine. Rebellious striking here. I don't know. This is a tough spot to be in. Let's do it. I want to make the monk. And this gives us our best chance of actually, like, stealing a victory here. Yeah, so then next one we can pump our entire board. So we just got to stay alive here. Next one we can attack everywhere and then potentially channel Dragonfire. I mean, we're not dead yet. So they can put a 1/1 counter on the Formation Breaker, or the Rhino is good too, and then the Formation Breaker becomes a 3/3. Now this is interesting. They have 3 blockers back, so we have 9 attacking creatures. So if we can keep 8 alive, no, we can't do it. I'm gonna block like they don't have anything else. Let's do this here. Actually, the prowess is gonna matter. Let's do this here. And let's do that there. I mean, it's not great. We'll take 3. Yeah, we have to do it like this. Oh, if they like Sarkon's Resolve, we're super dead. Yeah, yeah, sure. So we are at 2. Can we steal a victory here? No. So if we attack like this, we're going to attack with these 3. We're going to fire Rimform and then on the Duelist probably, and then channel Dragonfire for a double spell. So if we... No, we're just super dead no matter how we cut it, aren't we? Yeah. Oh, what a good game. I mean, we almost stabilized with our extremely aggressive deck, which is something, there's something to be said for that. But we are going to come up just short here, sadly. Got him down to 5. Good effort. Alright, hopping into this next one here. Our opponent is going first again, which is a little bit of a bummer, but we're going to keep this. I think going frontline rush and making a couple of goblins is totally fine, as well as our signal and roar here. Blood Flies is fine. We'll make it 2-2. No more lands would be great. Looks like our opponent is going for a bit of an aggressive start here, which is actually kind of interesting. I do think we are interested in dragon firing the bloodflies and then just making a couple 1/1s. I don't necessarily want to trade. I think having Duty Beyond Death means we want to have a decent board state before we actually cast that. Trader Envoy is great. Let's have to draw a card here. They are doing the thing. We draw another land, which is not great. We are going to attack everywhere. We can either Osseous Exhale or Duty Beyond Death here. I also think we're fine just doing 4. Then we'll Osseous Exhale on their turn. And this way too, I think they probably think that, oh, they had an Osseous Exhale in hand. That's why they were attacking so recklessly. And so we're kind of hiding the fact that we have a Duty Beyond Death as well. Hopefully we can draw a creature next turn, so that our Duty Beyond Death will be more effective. Encampment is not quite it. Yeah, so that's just bad. I think we're just gonna pass here. And then we can hold up the Duty Beyond Death, like worst case scenario. But I just don't think us taking this turn to take out either the Bloodflies or the Deuce on, I don't think that makes a ton of sense. Kind of see what they do first. Host of the Hereafter is great. So they've got a really solid black-green counter deck going on here. Like, do we want to save this? Yeah, I guess we do. So we'll take 2 here. Yeah, that's not how we should have played that. I mean, to be fair, I don't think there's a lot we could have done differently. Oh, that tapped wrong. That's a huge bummer. Not our game. Oh, that's so annoying that it would tap like that. There's like one thing we can do. Oh well. Yeah. We'll block like this. So we are going to probably lose to a freaking Delta Bloodflies here, which is unfortunate. But we drew a bunch of lands. We have 15 lands in our deck. We're seeing a ton of them here. There's some action we could definitely draw, but I don't think we're going to have enough here with a 5/5 Trampler. Yeah, Wild Ride does not quite get it done. So I think we're going to actually attack with the Rescue Leopard here. We're doing 9 damage. And then the way it's set up, we will take 5 next turn. If they have no other action, we'll block the Host of the Hereafter with a token. If they draw action, we lose. But I think this actually gives us a chance to win. The veteran is good. So I think we're just short of being able to get it done. If you see lethal here, let me know, because I'm not. So I think we go Quarry Steelcutter, and then we can play the Wild Ride targeting the Rescue Leopard, but we just won't have enough to get it done here. We're like just a mana short, because if we equip, we can't do it. So this becomes a, I mean, it's like so close. But we just can't do it. Oh, it's so close. I don't think we have lethal. If you see it, seriously, leave it in the comments below. How could I have won this last game? But I just don't think we have it, unfortunately. So they are going to get here. It is a huge bummer. Channel Dragonfire was just a little bit too expensive here, and we go down. A really fun day, a really fun draft, some really cool games. We took down a Teyval. We've lost to a couple of really, really close matches. So this is how our day ends. We end up going 4-3, which is not terrible. I think we probably should have won the first game. We could have maybe won the last game, but I don't think there's anything we could have done differently. We were just a mana short when it mattered most. So this is the deck we end up with. I think if we had a couple more 2-drops, like if we had a couple more Fortress King Guards, it would have gone a really long way, but I can't complain. 4 wins here is pretty crazy. So based off of today's challenge and draft, I'm going to be giving away a 5-card rare set, which you'll see is the reward for us getting 4 wins today. I'll be shipping it to one of you. There'll be cards right out of my binder. They will actually be good. It's not going to be like bulk rares. So go ahead and like this video. Subscribe to this channel. We're going to be doing a ton more challenges and giveaways. It's going to be a blast. And leave a comment down below. Did I miss lethal? I don't know. Let me know. Thank y'all for watching. Until next time.